Imagine you're at Greg's, McDonald's, or any random establishment. Everyone is enjoying their vegan sausage roll, or their Big Mac, or their non copyrighted food of choice. Guaranteed that if you approach any one of these people and ask them what the first written laws were, a worryingly large amount of them would answer with either the Ten Commandments or their respective country's constitution. Some of the responders may misattribute the creation of written laws to the pharaohs or a monarch. However, I'd like to think that a fair amount of people would answer with either Hammurabi or his law code. Hammurabi is depicted in one of 23 marble portraits, which are located within the US Capitol building. These marble portraits are dedicated to historical figures which were important in establishing rules, laws, and general guidelines which would form the basis of American law. And most famously, the law an eye for an eye is attributed to him. However, Hammurabi was not the first person to create written laws. In fact, this achievement is dated to at least 2 centuries prior to one of the kings of two Mesopotamian cities, Lagash and Girsu. So, what exactly is so important about the Code of Hammurabi? Let's take a quick 3,000-year-old step back to 1800 BC. The Mesopotamian civilization has been around for approximately 3,200 years. Stonehenge is about 1,200 years old, whilst the pyramids are 700 years old. After inheriting Babylon from his father, Hammurabi quickly conquered northern and southern Mesopotamia. Hammurabi was aware that this quick conquest of his could easily lead to rebellions, especially in old and religious cities such as Kish, Ashur, Larsa, and Isin. Hyper aware of this, Hammurabi began a period of appeasement, and unlike Chamberlain in the 1930s, he actually succeeded. Hammurabi successfully appeased his new subjects through a mixture of public works, donations to various temples, and the creation of a wide-reaching legal codex, which we now refer to as the Law Code of Hammurabi. The Code of Hammurabi was a compilation of laws which all centered primarily within the public sphere. Hammurabi ordered stelae bearing these laws to be built within major Mesopotamian cities, especially cities with large temples. These laws, 282 of them, included, now legal, punishments for adultery, runaway slaves, perjury, theft, slander, liability, and divorce. However, nearly half of them dealt with contracts. Hammurabi was aware that the majority of his populace was unable to read, and to him that was not an issue. An illiterate population is, of course, a happy population. And anyway, these laws were not made to elevate the common person. All but a single law was dedicated to the lower strata, effectively limiting their rights whilst making sure that these laws would not affect higher society. These laws were produced in order to appease temple officials and the merchant class. These laws protected merchants, which allowed trade to flourish and obviously made the merchants incredibly rich. Furthermore, these laws protected the sanctity of each Mesopotamian deity, as Mesopotamia did not have an organized religion until the creation epic centuries later. And finally, it guaranteed a suitable workforce and reliable income stream for the temples. Hammurabi cared about two things: appeasing the temples and merchants and guaranteeing his legacy. These stelae which bore his laws and his rules became a monument to his power, and an everlasting reminder to the temples and merchants that it was him and him alone that provided their wealth and power. Hammurabi became the ultimate authority and gained backing of merchants and temples. So whilst the Code of Hammurabi did not contain the first written laws, it was still vitally important, and it set a precedent to future rulers. In order to be successful, you need two things: money and the backing of religious institutions.